This episode is with myself and Lana, founder of Flume, and we're going to talk about the mistakes that we made that we want to prevent you from making. 7 to 10 years in building our businesses, and we each got to 8 to 9 figures in revenue. We hope that you can learn from the mistakes. Today, we're going to talk about the biggest mistakes Lana and I have made on our own businesses, because it's really helpful to know what not to do or pitfalls to look out for when you're considering some of the channels that we're going to talk about. So we're going to go back and forth and just kind of talk about huge mistakes that we made and we wish we would have known not to make these.
Yeah, I think these are applicable to all different kinds of companies too. Mm-hmm. They're not like mistakes like if it was a CPG company versus a tech company, it wouldn't apply. Like, these are literally, no matter what, in my next company, I will be aware of these things and do it differently.
Yeah, and I also, at Bala, we always say this because when we started, we didn't know anything, as a lot of founders can relate to. And so we basically did every single thing the wrong way to then learn the right way. And so now we feel like we're on a great path because we've done it the wrong way. So anyway, trying to help you guys from making some of these.
Well, I think a lot of companies don't make it through that.
Exactly.
Right?
No, we were like lucky to have made it through that.
And it's why second-time founders, raise money so much easier.
Yeah, like we could have gone totally out of business millions of times. So let's go. Right. You want to go first?
Okay, my first one, which I think in hindsight I definitely did incorrectly, was I didn't raise enough money at the beginning. Mm-hmm. I think when you first have a company, you are like so obsessed with your idea that you really want to protect. And we kind of talk about this a lot, but you really want to protect your shareholding of it. Like, you don't want to give too much away. So it's really like, and in the beginning, you're valued at nothing. Like, you don't have anything. So I think people really, or at least in my scenario, I tried to raise as little as possible. And it ended up backfiring because I didn't have enough everything takes longer than you expect it to. Everything is more expensive than you expect it to. You need runway to learn, not just do. So if I were to do it again, I would have a much bigger, and I was fundraising, not bootstrapping, I would have a much bigger initial raise.
How long would you recommend people get a runway for?
18 months.
18 months.
18
That's
months.
so long.
Yeah.
And wow.
18 months, definitely. Okay. Because like you have to think about how to spend it. You have to like make content and then advertise it. And then there's so much learnings, and then you need time to like put that new story back together and say, this is what we've proven or haven't proven. And this is what we've learned. And then go out and raise again. And raising again can take up to 6 months.
And this is specifically for raising, because if you're bootstrapping, you don't have money and
of
you're
course.
just winging
it's
it
irrelevant.
like we did.
Yeah, but if you are building like an investment-backed business, you're going to need multiple rounds.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it works. And I think if you can get some of that money up front, it's much easier to raise. And we talked about this in another episode, before you have data and before you have traction. So raise more upfront. My
first mistake that I'll say, hiring too fast. So I really think even if you raise money, like you've said it before, that you kind of like lose your eye on you just lose your eye on like profitability and the dollar because you have money. And like, say you have 18 months, it's like, I'll deal with that problem in 18 months. So hiring too fast is a big one for me. And I think it's applicable to raising or bootstrapping, because you have to let the dust settle between hires, and like you just really don't even know what somebody's necessarily good at and how they could like absorb other like areas in the company. And so I think like hire very slow, like wait until you really, really, really need that person. Obviously, we've probably talked about this before. Like, we had a ton of layoffs that we had to do at a certain point, like almost 30 people. And that was horrible. And I'm traumatized by that. So in the future, and we just did this as we're rebuilding, like we hired so slow. We're waiting till we're busting at the seams to like hire an inventory planner or whatever it is.
Yeah. I agree with that, and I've made the same mistake. Like, we raised a pretty decently sized seed round, and at that time, I think we hired like 12 people within a month.
Which is crazy. Yeah, you don't even know what those people are necessarily good at.
But you're hiring for your future strategy as opposed to like hiring as a like to resolve problems that are happening. And that was another one of my massive learnings. Like have the sales make the problems and then hire for the infrastructure for that. Don't have like an infrastructure heavy company with like no sales and no output to represent it, which is classic chicken and egg, right? Yeah. And also I think it's really hard to create the right business infrastructure when that many people are joining at the same time.
Yeah, that's exactly like my point. It's like you need to like wait and see what that person's like good at. Maybe you can give them like a little more of another area that makes sense within their role.
It also depends on seniority. Like if you're hiring very senior people, which I was, like these were people who were like VP level at very big companies. You kind of know what their realm is to be and like they need to build their own team and do multiple other things. But when there's so many coming in at the same time, it's really hard to spend the time selling the right dream and creating the right strategy with that person. And then you kind of don't always see that they understand the business as a collective in the right way.
And on that like build the team thing, I think this is under the same sort of vein, but it's if like we had hired a head of growth and he came in and he's like, I need these 6 people. We just said like, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, I wish I would have questioned that more because it's like, we weren't big enough to need our own, at that stage, own e-com manager or like customer retention person. And like, so you really need to like, even when building a team around somebody else, like really question it. And even if you can afford it now, doesn't mean you need to spend that money.
Totally. It's like have the problem before you hire for the problem.
Totally.
Yeah. On hiring, another really big mistake is not firing fast enough. And I know
I have that literally on mine too.
This is such a like common one, but it's so true. Like it's so hard. So many times I've sat on firing somebody.
Always.
And everybody else in the company is like, what the fuck? Like,
becomes
why
like
is this
a toxic person
here?
In the company.
Totally. Like everyone's talking about it. They're either not good managers, they're not pulling their weight, and they're just not representing the company in terms of like what you expect the output to be. And if it looks like somebody's getting away with it, like everybody is getting away with it. And it's just like, yeah, it's so bad. So definitely fire fast. And once it's done, like it's done.
And exactly. The worst part about not firing fast is like you think you're doing yourself a solid. You're like, oh, maybe they'll change. Maybe it'll work out. Do a performance review, whatever you have to do. But realistically, the second you have the thought they're not working out, they aren't working out. Yeah. And so what you're doing is like you're putting them, it's like in your mind, like you're having nightmares about it. It's bad for them. It's bad for you. Just like cut it. It's better to do it then than 6 months down the line. Plus you just wasted a lot of money and their time.
Yeah, you're wasting someone else's time, which sucks in its own right.
And you might be doing a blessing. I was fired and then Bala happened. So there you go.
There you go. Fire more people. They might start companies. They might suck doing the job for you and then go and start a really cool company.
I would say a mistake is having, well, I'm going to call it as like founder FOMO. So it's like, you know, you get on Instagram. I mean, this applies in every area of your life. It's like comparison is the thief of joy syndrome. And basically, you know, comparing yourself or seeing something like, oh, I see somebody just, this other cool brand that's in my category did a New York store. I'm going to do a New York store or whatever it may be. They launched an app. Oh, should we be doing an app? It's like, no, you shouldn't. You should focus on whatever's in your path and don't let that derail your focus because I think it really can. And then it also just takes away your joy from where you are in your company. Like you have a company, maybe it's profitable, maybe it's not, but it's, you know, hopefully growing. It's like, just sit with that and stay on your clear vision.
Agree. Focus is one of mine. I like pivoted after a couple of years. Mine was never to like compare myself to other founders. Mine was more that like I really wanted to like please certain investors or VCs. Like I always wanted the biggest funds, or I wanted to be like doing the model that they were excited about. So like at the time, like maybe I would have pivoted to an AI company, like found a way to become an AI company, but instead I found a way to become like a B2B marketplace with like a wholesale integration. You know, like I was just so driven by like seeming smart and being in those circles that I pivoted into building too many things at once. And it completely deteriorated our focus. And it also meant that like consistently the team never knew what their KPIs were. So just like we really lacked a clear direction. Like, this is our North Star and it's not changing. And we're going to stay consistent with that. But that's one of my biggest weaknesses. Like, I always want to start new companies. Like
yeah. Like, that's why we started this
fun
podcast.
And I need movement. And then, like, by the time we've delivered that thing, like, I'm on to the next. You know, like, feedback from my team would be always that, like, I don't celebrate the wins. But by the time we delivered it, I was like, this isn't the new, exciting, flashy thing.
This is such a problem. And we are literally both like this.
That's why we have a podcast, Natalie.
And it's a lot of, this podcast is so much work.
This is our shiny thing.
This is our shiny thing. So it's shiny object syndrome.
So we should take some of our own advice.
I know, but this is the thing we're working on. But basically also on that, comparison is the thief of joy. We just had the founder of Who Gives a Crap on the podcast, and it was so refreshing because you never hear this. They had such incredible focus that he said they do one big thing a year. Like, we try to do like one big thing a month, whether it's like a collab, a website launch, a launch, whatever it is. He said they couldn't afford to, and they just believed in that much focus, so that they, you heard it. It's like, I'm telling for the audience, but like one big thing a year that could be like one website, launching another product. Like, that to me is incredibly slow. But look at them, 12 years in, they're over 100 million in revenue because of their extreme focus and giving back 50% of their profits. So it's a cool way to run the business.
It is a good reminder that, like, I think focus creates success.
It does.
Truly. This is a focus one, but I launched in a geography too soon. So we launched 2 years after we launched in the UK, we launched in the US. And I see a lot of brands doing this now because it's so easy through like 3PLs or distributors to be like, oh, where it's like we just give someone our product, we don't have to think about it. And I think that it creates another like section of your mind that you need to put focus into that's taking away from your main geography and really ultimately limits you being able to like build liquidity and build like a strong presence in the geography you're focusing on, because every geography comes with its own tone of voice and language, even if it's both English. Like, you just need to understand it in a different way. And I think that it's much smarter to like put your dollars into one place and one strategy than to mix it into new geographies, even though you're like, oh, I'm going to get extra orders.
I couldn't agree more with this.
I thought you were going to say I couldn't agree less.
Well, I mean, I know, but I've done it the wrong way. Of like, we were basically like seeing counterfeits, which this is another one, so maybe I'll tell it next. But we were seeing counterfeits pop up in other countries. So we said, let's just launch in those and be there so that we're like at least staking claim in the ball and name. So we had launched pretty quickly with like distributors. Like, we're in several global markets, but the problem with that is some have worked out, and I'm glad we did it. Like, we also got into a really bad one, and we made $0 from that, and they were able to sell the Bala brand for I think 3 years, and so they profited. Some shady stuff probably went on too, and we made $0 from it. I mean, the only thing we have from it, maybe some clout in that country, but there was a huge mistake. It's because we didn't really necessarily know what it took to like properly launch in a market. So that brings me to my next one, which was, this is specific to product, CPG brands probably, or maybe you could patent a marketplace sort of thing, but not protecting your IP. And so luckily now we protect our IP in multiple countries, but the main thing is if you're going to get a patent or a trademark, you want to have the foresight, and it's not that expensive to add this on, but to get the trademark and the patent in other countries you may sell. And I know it's hard to think because you're like, I'm focused on the US, like I'm not going to sell anywhere else.
Yeah.
But just think about a few things. Like, think about where the product is getting made. Okay, if it's getting made in China, I may patent that in China so that I can fight the counterfeits coming out of there. Or I'm not going to call them counterfeits, maybe like dupes.
Yeah.
So try to protect your IP in multiple countries, I would say, in trademarks.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I never had that problem because it was a tech product. But I can see with you guys, like, there's so many dupes.
It's horrible.
And I don't know how you even get around that. I mean, I guess you don't.
You just don't want to sue people all day. So it's like you just do what you can. And we're always in like probably like 2 lawsuits at one time though.
Nice. My next one would be getting too close to my team.
Mm-hmm.
I started Flume at a time where like it was about like family. This word, like we're a family, and like we would like work together every day. Then we would go to the bar after work every single day, like pre-COVID, and we were there till like 2 a.m. and then we'd come back and do it all over again. And I think that there was just like a very unhealthy closeness that didn't ultimately create a place where like I could lead with respect. And I don't know, I don't believe in this family mentality, I think is what I've learned. And I was a lot younger, but I definitely, looking back, would want to, if I did it again, would like want some sort of separation between like, these are my expectations of you and you're here to do a job. And then like we go home and we have separate lives.
Yeah, that one's tough because what happens when you fire somebody, you're like never friends with them again.
Yeah.
But I will say it's just tough because I literally just hired our new head of merchandising is my sister's best friend, and she's like a family friend, but she's really freaking good at her job. And also my first 2 employees were both of my sisters.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. So I think it's like that's like more like hiring family and friends, which is another story. Like we could do a whole episode on that one. But I agree, trying not to get too personal with maybe not some you can, but not everyone.
I also just like would never hire family and friends, which is different to what I was saying. Mine was like, don't hire people and become their best friend. But I wouldn't, because like I have extremely like outrageous expectations, and I think also the way that like I communicate, like people don't always love, and I'm not, and like I just don't want to offend friends. You know, like I want to hire based off of like somebody being similar to how I execute.
Yeah, I feel like we need a whole episode though, for real, on like the do's and don'ts of hiring friends.
I mean, we're also like working together, and we started out as friends, so
yeah.
Or maybe we started out as
business because we met at a founder dinner.
Yeah, and then we started a dinner, so it worked.
But this is like not our main. Maybe that's why it works, because we can be friends and.
I don't know.
Anyway,
don't hire friends and don't become friends with people you hire. Great. So no one. Do you have another one?
Repeat business. I know we both have this one, so let's talk about it. I didn't even know what the word lifetime value or repeat business like meant. And so I didn't really think through that. We launched with Balla Bangles one product. We were literally called Balla Bangles, which doesn't make sense because it doesn't allow you to be called or to launch other products. Yeah. So not thinking through repeat or lifetime value, I think if I were to do it again, I would like really, really hope I could figure out a repeat solution. I know you say flowers are not a heavy repeat, but to me that is more repeat than Balla is.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
like, you know, even like an activewear thing or a subscription, like think through that.
I agree. That's like my biggest, if I were to ever start a company again, the first thing I would think about is what is high margin and high repeat? Like, what am I going to be able to make money back on the first order? So literally the CAC or the cost per acquisition is lower than the margin. And then what is someone going to come back for several times? So once I've acquired that customer, I don't need to like build a ton of new SKUs to engage with them again, and then those SKUs might not be like attractive to them.
Totally.
So yeah, 2 of the top criteria. And that goes into another one of mine, which is like understand unit economics. Like if you're starting a business and you don't know what that means, like please go Google it and spend some time understanding what the unit economics of your idea are. And if there's a way for it to actually ever be profitable, or are you always going to be in a loss-making scenario because you have to put more money in than the money it makes you?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that one. Let's see. So my next one would be don't delegate too much too early. So the fear there is like if you delegate things to people too early, like they don't fully get the business or you don't fully trust them, or maybe it needs to sit, like a lot of things need to sit sadly with the founder for like the first, I believe, like the first couple of years. And then the double-edged sword is then there's a time where you need to delegate everything and like make yourself fireable.
Yeah.
Make yourself fireable is something that like Max, co-founder and husband, he's doing way too much. And I'm like, make yourself fireable. Like this business needs to run without us. And once I unlocked later in the business, delegating a lot more, that's what you need to do. So the mistake is Max won't delegate too much.
It's all you do also though, like need somebody who's like in the weeds and is like keeping control of what's going on. You know, it's really hard to do those two things at
if
the
you
same
hire
time.
good people though, and you start to trust them, and that comes with time, like they should be the ones in the weeds.
True. Hiring good people then I guess is the biggest thing, because I never found that. I also found that like when I began to become somebody who was like managing a 45-person team, like all I did was one-to-ones. And I really didn't enjoy my job. Like I am a like in the weeds person. I'm also a delegator in the right space, but like I need to feel my own sense of like value. I need to feel like I'm doing some sort of execution.
That could be directing the people.
Yeah.
Your team who's gotten really good at it.
Which is less people facing.
Yes.
You know, like it can even be like making a deck. You know, like maybe it's like making the all hands.
Yes.
You know, like I need to do something that is like bringing, and for me it was generally fundraising. Like I just became a fundraising monkey. I was just like
that's my
in and out fundraising.
Actual nightmare.
But at least like, you know, it created like some back and forth value over what I had built. But I definitely did lose interest when I had super senior people like running their own departments.
You're just like,
I was like, yeah, I trust you. You make the call, you know? And I see a big like downfall in the business during that period.
Interesting.
And that's my own weakness, I think, is becoming somebody who can stay interested when I'm not like in the day to day.
Oh, interesting. So I feel like it can open you up to other areas.
Definitely.
You know,
and it should
all of a sudden you freed up bandwidth.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. That should definitely happen. It's also figuring out when the right time is for that. And maybe like it happened more in my business because like we'd raised all of this money versus like it was time. And that's where the disconnect was.
Okay, I have another one.
Okay, go, because I'm done.
Oh, you're done. Okay, so I have two more. I'll save the best for last, and I'm sure you have something to add. But this one is just like stay away from short-term loans. We had we did a mistake. I don't want to shout out the company, but we did a short-term, easy-to-get loan, low interest. Everything sounded great. But it was like 4 months. Yeah. And the problem with that is you just don't have the foresight, or you can't plan for if something goes wrong. In our case, inventory was late. I think we missed the holiday selling window to the specific retailer, and therefore sales were a lot lower. We couldn't pay back the 4-month short-term loan. And this actually was one of the big reasons that I think we owed like $2 million. This is a big, we paid it all off, of course, by now. But at the time, it was like that was like a big reason we had to lay off a lot of people. Yeah. So short-term loan, just stay away. You never know what's going to happen. And then the last one, always trust your gut. Like an expert is telling you to do something. In my case, it could be like buy all this inventory. Like trust your gut. Like if the numbers don't seem right, they might not be right. And I think trusting your gut goes with many things. Like if you're going to do a big endeavor with the brand, like just like you started it. It's your child. You know what's right. You know the path, even if the experts are telling you or your investors are telling you to do something, like trust your gut.
Yeah. I have another one. No expensive as fuck consultants.
Agree.
Those people rip you off. I guarantee. You know, like if it's someone who's sitting in the day to day and you've seen that they're like, they can execute. If it's someone who's just like, I'm just going to sit on meetings and give advice, like you are not worth 25 grand a month.
Yeah.
Like there are so many people. And also I suffered from this more in like the type of people that I would hire, but I would always look at like what schools they went to or what experience they had at like big companies, because like that wasn't my history.
Too. Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, oh, they were at like this huge brand. That person had 100 staff who had agencies. They are not executing at the level at your startup is executing, and they have no idea how to come into a business this small and work again. Like
and make impact.
Totally. And when you've seen success, like you become lazier. you know, like to your own right. One, like you did it a long time ago. Shit's changed.
Yep.
And two, like you don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
You know, like there was a period I think where everyone was hiring off the back of like Glossier and Everlane and Lola. And it was like, I was number 8 at this company and I was number 10 at this company. It was like you hired them as consultants, and I did it a few times, and they could not deliver.
Yeah.
And, you know, this isn't the rule of thumb for everybody, but just like really, really try to see their output before you believe what's been written down. I also see people all over LinkedIn and all over Instagram saying like, oh, I was here and I helped launch X brand or Y brand. And then I know people who worked at that brand and they're like, that's not true. You know, they were there as a consultant during that period, but they actually had no impact.
Yeah.
So like be wary of people spending some short amount of time somewhere and taking credit for it. And yeah, hold on to your dollars more and get somebody. I would much rather, if I was in that situation, like get somebody who was executing for the first time that I felt confident.
You need doers.
In. Yeah, totally.
Agree.
So yeah, no consultants unless it's me. But
okay, I love it. All right, well, thanks for listening. Let us know if you want to hear any more mistakes.
Yeah, thanks.